Hey guys, welcome into the studio today. I am talking today about what is holding you back from success. What is holding you back from moving to the next level? What is holding you back from growing a really strong worship band? You can put this into any scenario. Today we're talking about building worship bands, building teams, building volunteers, and I'm going to share just a few things with you about what might be holding you back or what has held me back in the past, and what holds back people in general. Then I'm going to show you a couple things. There are links in the description for a free strategy session with me. And there's also a link in the description for ministry scholarship, which is available to anyone who wants to start training with Worship the King, and the funds are tight. Okay, so I'm going to show you all of that here in just a minute. First of all, if you don't know me, I'm Eric Roberts, and you might know me or you might not, but if you don't know me, if you're not familiar with me, I'm Eric Roberts. I am just a dude trying to be awesome. All right. And I'm trying to build my worship team at church. I'm trying to build my youth band. I'm trying to help as much as I can. I'm a volunteer at my church. And for many years of my life, I've been a staff worship leader. I've been a producer. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee now. Actually, I'm originally from Dayton, Ohio, but I moved here to Nashville, Tennessee. So our studio is now based in Nashville. So many cool things happening in Nashville. So many cool musicians, so many cool people. And, but it doesn't matter where you are. If you're being held back, then there's something you got to think about. And we'll get into that. So for all these years, I've been working on training and developing in my own students. Started out teaching private, then I went into leading worship. And then now I'm just training and helping my church and other churches around the world build teams. One of the hardest parts that I've struggled with in the last year or two has been finding enough people, and especially when COVID hit, when everybody scattered, it was like, it really, it got harder because everybody scattered. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? How are we going to get more people? How are we going to get more people involved? And that has led me through a path in my own church. Our youth group band is growing really, really good. Our main church band and our tech teams are growing really good. Here in my local church, I'm the media director and one of the just fill-in worship leaders for the big stage. And then I'm the youth worship director. So I get a lot of chance to train and get involved in people's lives on a level of, hey, you want to get involved with this, and here's how you can do it. And so that's what's led me here. But what is holding you back? What's holding us back right now overall? Just trying to find enough people, and that is what has led me on this sort of ask and recruit. And right now, our worship ministry is doing really well. Our worship bands in the youth side is completely full. Our main stage is mostly full. We've got 3 or 4 people deep on each instrument. So think about that. So we have 2 or 3 drummers, 3 or 4 drummers. I think one of our drummers is moving. We have 3 or 4 electric guitar players. One of them is moving. I talk about that a lot because somebody moves, especially if you only have one, that's a major problem. Or if you only got one guitar player and he moves, then you have 0. That's how you get to 0, is you just have one and then they leave. That's the easiest way to 0, is just have one guy that you rely on all the time. Because at some point he's going to be like, hey, I got to move, or I got to leave the church, or he passes away. God forbid that would happen. But this happens. Or he gets a new job and he's working every day and he can't be there on practice, whatever. That's the easiest way to 0. So how do we get to 4 people deep on every ministry area? How do you get 4 worship leaders, 4 drummers, 4 guitar players, 4 youth band? We actually have 4 worship leaders in our youth band, 4 rotating people coming in. And we have this. How do we get to that? All right. What's holding you back from that? First of all, that was holding me back, COVID. But then I was like, we just gotta get beyond this. I was getting a little burned out because I was running sound from when COVID started. We started live streaming all the way through, the whole year, and it was fine, because what else was I doing? That's the only time I could see people in real life, was going to the live stream recordings and stuff. So I was enjoying that. But then it starts like, okay, we got to get some more people. We went back to meeting in person. Our bands were a little bit smaller. We started trying to go call everybody and get them back, and start trying to get people. We were moving buildings too. So there was a lot of stuff that could be holding us back, but we were just pressing in and pressing forward. So what is holding you back? That's the thing. I'm going to throw out some things that could be holding you back. Number one, nobody. You don't have anybody. And that is one of the webinars I did with Church Answers and Tom Rainer is what do you do when you have nothing and nobody? I mean, that was I think the podcast that we did about a year and a half ago. This is before COVID. What do you do when you have nothing and nobody in your ministry? We talked about that. Because pastors that I talk to, worship leaders I talk to, they're just like, we don't have anybody. We don't have any drummers. There's nobody at our church playing drums. And some of the smaller church pastors are like, we're never going to have a drummer. So I think that's holding them back is they don't have people. And then the next thing is holding them back is their mindset of, yeah, we don't have any drummers, so we're not going to have drums. We're looking at our world in this mindset of scarcity. We're not going to have any people because there's no people. We've tried. Nobody wants to play drums in our church. We have nobody. That is a scarcity mindset. So that can hold you back, thinking that drummers are in short supply. So there aren't any drummers and we're never going to have them. What if you thought about how many drummers there are outside of the church walls and go out and get them and bring them in? So that's more like an evangelistic approach. But, sometimes you got to go get people. Sometimes you got to put up a thing down at the Dots supermarket. Hey, looking for a drummer. There are a lot of drummers that don't have gigs. I call it a gig, but whatever. There are a lot of drummers that don't have a place to play. There are a lot of drummers who want to feel important. There are a lot of drummers who have self-esteem issues. They don't have anybody to play with. And it's kind of boring to play drums by yourself. So what about that? What about going outside to the church and saying, hey, I want to find a drummer out here. Put up some posters looking for a drummer gig every week. Now, I'll tell you something about musicians, because then people say, well, we can't pay anybody and we can't do all this. Look, you don't have to pay a drummer. You don't have to pay everybody. You might want to pay somebody, but if you're a small church and you don't have drummers, well, you probably don't have any money to pay drummers. And that's okay, because, I think most drummers will play for free. Now, in Nashville, it's different. We have session drummers, and some of those guys, that's their living. That's their job. So you don't want to go to them and be like, hey, you want to do your job for free? Maybe they're like, no, I don't want to do my job for free. I need a job. It's my job. So, but in most places in the country, there are drummers everywhere just looking to play with people, and some people want to just donate to the ministry. Okay, even some of our session drummers here in Nashville will donate sessions to our church, and they won't charge our church, and they'll play with us. Isn't that amazing? That's amazing. That's a good thing. So you can ask, you could even ask a session drummer, hey, I know that's your job, but we're small, we don't have a lot of money. Can you play with us once a month? You get 3 or 4 people like that, and there you go. You got 4 drummers. All right. So scarcity could be holding you back, or the scarcity mindset, the mindset that there are just not anybody out there to play, so you don't have anybody to play. Now, as a worship leader, I've been in scenarios where band members have quit, people have quit the church, people have quit the band, people get upset, people leave, their family gets hurt, they leave, whatever happens. I mean, church stuff happens in church, right? It's going to happen. You're the worship director, worship leader, so you've got to figure out, well, now I need more people, and I need to hopefully not make those people mad, or hopefully they don't get hurt and leave. So you're trying to build cohesive long-term relationships, but everything happens, and sometimes you're looking like, well, I got to get some more people. Scarcity mindset will hold you back. And the other thing I hear from a lot of pastors, a lot of worship leaders, a lot of people who are like, well, we're trying to build a worship team, but we don't have one, is they're saying, we don't know what to do. We don't train. We don't have anybody to train anybody. We got a drummer. He's kind of playing some drums, but he doesn't sound right. So he's just out there making noise, and we don't have anybody to really teach him how to play drums. He wants to play drums, but I don't think he's very good. So then it's kind of like they go behind that person into the board meeting or into the staff meeting and say, hey, Billy Bob's out there playing the drums, and it's kind of bad. What are we going to do? And they're like, we don't know. Maybe he's just not good at drumming. Okay. All right. So there's a lack of training. So let's talk about that. That's one thing that I can tell you, that Worship Band Builder, and this is not a promo. This is literally what I do. Okay. This is not a promo for a product or anything. This is literally what I do with my band and my church and everybody. This is literally what I'm doing. So worshipbandbuilder.com, we have training for each one of these sessions. You could get Billy Bob, the Drum Foundation's login, and say, Billy Bob, hey, you need to get into involved in learning how to play drums for worship. I mean, right now it sounds like all you're playing is like a rock and roll beat. We don't know what you're doing. People are complaining, and I don't know what to do. So Billy Bob, we got you some training. We invested some training videos. I want you to watch these. Now, drum foundations taught by myself and Brent Nussbaum, pro drummer, played in a mega church for like 15 years. He's going to know how to talk to Billy Bob about drums. And that's the thing. Pastor, worship leaders, sometimes you guys don't know how to talk to the drummer and you don't know what to say to the drummer other than it doesn't sound good, but we're not sure why. So I do hear that a lot. There's just like, we have a couple people, they want to play, but then I get on the phone with some pastors and they just talk about how the problems are happening. There are lots of problems that happening in that area over there, that music area, that they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to really go in there. And so you're a pastor, you're not a producer. So we come alongside you teaching all of these sections, audio and live stream, music theory, electric guitar, worship leadership, bass foundations, drum foundations, piano foundations, vocal foundations, and guitar. All of these will help people get beyond that sort of strummy yuck sound that they got that maybe sounds weird, or into an actual worship sound guitar player, or they'll sing more like a worship singer, or they'll play piano like a worship piano player. This one's tough because a lot of piano players only know how to play classical music. That's the way they were trained. So there you can get training. So that's not a super big promo, but that's what I do. When I have somebody come to me and say, hey, I want to be a part of the band, I say, okay, can you play? And they're like, a little bit. Yeah. And then you get to this little session where you're with them and they're trying to play and you're like, yeah, they're not great. That's not going to work. That is not going to work to the level of quality that we have happening right now, producing on our stage. So you say, hey, could you go through a couple of these lessons? And I give them a login and they start learning. And pretty soon they're trained and equipped. Okay. So that really helps with scarcity as well, because then you have more people excited about music. All right. Then you have more people. What else? Let me see. What else? I'll look at my chat. What else is holding you guys back? What else is holding you guys back? Let me pop out and see if there's any chat. I don't think there's any chat right now coming through to me, but what else could be holding you back? Even if this live video is over and you're watching this 2 weeks from now, just type in the comments, what is holding you back really from doing what you want to do at your church? I'll tell you what else holds me back is money, because sometimes they want to do a lot of stuff. They're like, yeah, I want to do all this stuff. And they're like, okay, well, let's do it. It's going to be like $3,000 for these pieces of equipment to make this happen. Okay. You want to be able to use tracks. Well, now you need in-ears, and now we need, an extra $3,000. And they're like, well, we don't have $3,000. That's not the budget this year. So then you're kind of in this holding pattern where it's like, okay, I want to spend $3,000, but the church doesn't want to spend $3,000, but they also want tracks in their worship to sound like Bethel or whatever they want to sound like. So you have finances that are holding you back. So, yeah, I don't know how to get more money. That's a good chance. We need to go back to that old video. Do you want more money? Sure, we all do. It was back from the 90s. Anybody remember that? Do you need more money? Sure, we all do. So that's kind of like what happens. I ask my pastor for money randomly just to try to loosen him up a little bit. Like, hey, can we have this money for this much? He's like, no. Talk to the budget team or whatever. So I just like to ask and you shall receive. Ask some people for some money. Go ask some people in church for some money. Go donate some of your own money. Go do whatever you got to do. Get a vision for what you want to see, and then start moving forward. Maybe you can't afford $3,000, but maybe this year you can afford part of it. Then next year the other part. And so I know that in ministry, don't just stay there being held back by the fact that you don't have $3,000, because you can still be building skill in your team. You can still be recruiting people. That's free. To recruit people is free. You can still be moving forward without the $3,000, and hopefully put that seed into people's minds. Like, we're trying to build in-ear monitors. Maybe you're going to get a band member that's going to join and go, hey man, I'm willing to donate a monitor system to the church because I want to play with monitors. I want to do in-ear monitors. And he's like, got a pretty good job. And he says, we're looking to donate some money. And there it is. So God will provide. And it happens. It's happened to me in different times. Sometimes the church is stacked up with cash, and they're like, yeah, we'll give you $5,000. You show us what you want. You got to ask though. You got to ask. You have to put it in front of them and ask them, hey, I want this equipment. This is important. This is part of the next step of our worship ministry. Hey, can we have this much money? and ask for more than you need. Ask for extra. And when they say, no, there's no way that we're going to spend $5,000 this year, you say, okay, well, can we do 2,500 this year, 2,500 next year? You got to learn to sell, learn to negotiate. Negotiate with your pastor, negotiate with your worship leadership team. Talk to them about, why you would want to spend this money, what it's going to do for the church, how it's going to grow the church to spend money and invest in new equipment and better equipment. Because that's one thing I hear a lot is we just don't have the equipment, we don't have this money, and I feel that same way too. When we moved buildings and moved everything around, I mean, we had equipment in our old building, but we want to do better stuff in the new building. We want to do bigger stuff. So now we're like short microphones, we're short cables, so we're like just a little at a time, we're chipping away. And I think we're almost there, at least to where now I don't have to go downstairs and steal mics and cables off the main stage for the youth stage. So we've kind of got to where now we have 2 setups, and it's taken me like 6 months or a year. And I've spent some money. I've spent some of my own money. I've donated some money to buy some stuff. It's like, oh, we need more mic stands. Okay, I can buy a couple mic stands and leave them there. I brought some of my own gear. Look, find musicians that have gear and say, hey, man, we're looking for some of our sound guys. Sometimes they bring extra mics into the church. I'm like, here, use these for a couple months. These are better than the ones you got. Okay, great. Get more people, get more excitement, get more people, and get them bringing in more gear. Be like, hey, can you bring your bass amp? Yeah, one of our bass players in the youth group brings his bass amp. We don't have one up there. We can't afford $500 for a bass amp right now for the youth band. So we start asking people, hey, can you bring your amps when you come? Hey, can you bring, my drum sets up there? Okay, so anyway, budget, money can hold you back, but don't get stuck there. Don't get stuck there. Media, technology holds everybody back all the time. I mean, even us who are good at it are always struggling with it to get better. And so maybe it's not holding us back, but it's definitely on our minds. Like last week, we have everything going down. Everything's fine. Our live stream went offline last week because our internet company or something, the router just janked out on us during Sunday, and we didn't really know it. And they were like, yeah, the Wi-Fi's been acting weird, and it acted quite funny on Sunday. It didn't work. So even if you got all this stuff set up, technology's there to knock on the door and be like, hey, you're stupid. Hey, stupid. I'm here to mess you up. That's what technology is going to do. But if you're training and looking forward and setting up and making stuff happen, you're less likely to have problems with technology. For example, for next Sunday, our stage is already set. After Sunday, our tech team sets up for the next week. It's already like plugging in, labeling, everything's ready for next week already. So we have rehearsal coming up on tonight. It's already set up. And then for Sunday, our guys are there early on Saturday and Friday setting up systems. So they're kind of, if technology is holding you back, you're not spending enough time on it. Spend a little more time on technology. Spend a little more effort. Get a little more people trained. And if you want help, go to Audio Livestream Foundations. We have help. Here's where I will tell you that you can get a free strategy session with me. So you can talk through your problems. Okay, that's perfect, right? You go to this website, worshipbandbuilder.com, click on free strategy session in the top bar, and right here, just let me know what's going on. What's your role at church? What kind of training you need? And tell me where you are right now and where you want to be. All right? Maybe just talking to a friend. Maybe just talking to a friend. I know we're not personal friends yet, but we can become that. Maybe just talking to me and letting me know, here's where we're at. Here's where I'm struggling. Maybe I can say, oh, you know what? Make a plan. Make a strategy plan. Make a 3, 4, 5 part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 year plan. And then don't let it hold you back. Don't let all of these little things hold you back from becoming successful in ministry. Because when you fail in ministry, you're not failing just you. Oh, I stunk it up. I failed. You go home with your, head down and you just go back to bed and watch Netflix. That's the problem. Is it's well beyond that. When you fail in ministry, all of those people who you were working with and all of those people who are working with you and under you and beside you, whether you're a leader or just on the tech team, when you fail all those people. And beyond that, all of the congregation. So what if the worship band media guy is failing every week? What, like this week when our live stream went off, it failed the people who watch our live stream, hundreds of people a week. So this week was not great because technology kind of failed, and so we're gonna work that out next time. We're gonna make it different. Now sometimes you can't help it, and sometimes you just live with your failures and move on. But what if you do fail because you don't strategize, because you don't plan ahead, and then your worship team falls apart? I mean, that's why this is important. If you're struggling, or if you don't know what's holding you back, or if you've been in too long, or if you're burned out, or if you're just sitting around going, I don't have enough people, I don't have enough help, go to Worship Band Builder, click on free strategy session, just talk to me about it. I can't solve all your problems, but I can definitely breathe a fresh perspective. And from the many years that I've built bands and worked on teams, I can definitely help you create a plan that will get you sort of out of the weeds and onto a plan of success. Now, none of this because of our infrastructure, because we have over 600 video lessons, and we were getting ready to count all these. We have hundreds of hours of just training and tutorials for all of the different areas. If you're a worship leader, if you're a tech leader and you're thinking like, I want more people, but I don't have time, I got a full-time job, I can't show everybody how to run sound, that's fine. That's what Worship Band Builder Foundations does. It teaches people that, it gives them that entry level position. So they come to you, they're like, oh, I understand gain, I understand how to do a fader, I understand my chords now, I understand how to strum. I already know that. So when I was a worship leader, one of the hardest things to do is to train and get everybody on board with every little detail of everything. And that's why I started writing my own books, because I was just training every single person the same thing. And I'm like, this is so hard to do. I don't have time to do all this. And then if they quit the church 6 months later, I'm like, I wasted all that time trying to teach this person, and then they took off, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So we started doing everything through video. So it's like, you watch these videos, you learn how to run the soundboard through these videos, then you get to a certain level of input. They've already they've already shown up. They've already taken the initiative, to a certain point. And now you can like put them behind the soundboard and start training them in a live scenario. So that's one thing. The other thing that we are doing here at Worship Band Builder and Worship the King is ministry scholarships. So you really want to train, but you're like, dude, we don't got no money. Like, our church isn't going to be able to pay $45 a month, to do this. Or I've got no money. I'm not going to be able to pay $45 a month to get better at guitar, but I want to be in the ministry. I want to help my church. So we're here for you as well. So this is a ministry scholarship. Fill it out. You can actually get it down to $5 a month, the price of one Starbucks coffee, which I don't endorse Starbucks coffee anymore because of my feelings towards them. But it's the price of one, let's say, Happy Meal. Although food prices are skyrocketing. So, I mean, like $5, I'm not even sure $5 will get you one meal at McDonald's anymore. It is mind-boggling. And that's another reason we released a ministry scholarship this month, like about the last 30 days. Prices are going up. People's unemployment is going up. People are struggling. And we understand that. And I understand that. So I don't want that to be in the way. We did this 10 years ago. It worked out really well. It's the spirit of like, we're here with you. We're here beside you. We're in ministry with you. And if you can pay the full price for a membership, then that's great. Even better. It will help us even better here at Worship the King and Band Builder to create more products and do all that. But all you do is click on ministry scholarship. If $45 a month is like, man, I can't do that. I've got all my funds held up, but I'm trying to volunteer at my church. I'm trying to lead in my church. Just go in here, fill out the ministry scholarship. It's pay what you choose, down to $5 a month. And also, once you get through this, once you're approved, if you're like, man, I still cannot afford $5 a month, I can't do it. I just don't have the budget. We're not able to do it. Then all you got to do is send me an email, and I will get you in for free. All right. So that is the case on the ministry scholarship. So just go fill that out. Just tell me a little bit about yourself, what you want to learn, and how you're doing. And if you're an individual and you're like, hey, I want my church to do this, you can get your whole church into this too. Your whole church can train. That's how these memberships work. If you look, it's for you, unlimited users in your family and your church. So when you sign up, you're not signing up for just you. You're signing up for you and your whole church. So all the kids in your youth group, all the guys in your tech team, all the people that are like, I want to do music. This is something that we changed over the last year, trying to help you guys get, so you can be one person. You can pay the $45 a month, and that can be donated. That can be a donation to your church to go to all the people and say, hey, learn this stuff, learn this guitar, learn the bass, learn the drums. I'm using this training in my church. Of course, I wrote the training and I developed all this training, but I'm using it in my church. And I will tell you that in our last worship team meeting, our worship leadership, our worship ministry is by far the largest staffed ministry in our church. And we're a church about 100 to 200. And our ministry, I think they had over 30 people, dedicated people, not 30 random people, 30 dedicated ministry people in our worship ministry at our little church, over 30 people. Okay, so some of the other areas of ministry were like, hey, we need to borrow some of your volunteers, because it is hard to get volunteers as a small church. But if you're actively recruiting and just getting gnarly with recruiting, talking to everybody you can, like, man, you got to get involved. And they're like, well, I would run sound if I knew how. Okay, I'm going to get you an access point to do foundations. Check it out, watch it, see if it's something you could do. Done, bam. That's all you got to do. And you've got somebody that's possibly interested now in doing worship ministry. So that is exactly what I'm talking about. What is holding you back? Write it down. Think about it. What do you want to do, and why aren't you there? There is no reason right now, with all of the resources and all the help that out there available, that you shouldn't be reaching your goals. And if that's kind of been my version of ministry, I'm always striving to go to the next level. So sometimes it feels like I never get there, because as soon as I get to one level, I'm always like, okay, all right, that's pretty good, but you know what? We could do even better. And I just notch it up a little bit, notch it up a little bit, and notch it up a little bit, and keep notching it up a little bit. That's, I think, what makes a good musician, a good leader. But you have to be big vision. You have to be able to see, like, this is where I want to go. And then you just talk about it. You just kind of push forward. You kind of figure out how to do it, and you find the right people to put around you. And then you say, I'm going to go up the next level, notch it up, notch it up, notch it up. All right. That's what I have for you today. Hopefully you like this. This will be published in our Worship Band Builder podcast. It will also be published on our YouTube channel, Facebook, and all our multi-stream platforms. I would love to hear from you. Just go to worshipbandbuilder.com, click on free strategy session, and I would just love to spend a little time with you on Zoom or on the phone, just hearing what your issues are, what your vision is, and how we can help you. God bless you guys. Thank you for watching today. Thank you for listening. And be sure to send me all emails to eric@worshiptheking.com. And like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and that would be awesome. Even just leave me a comment right here on this video so we can connect.